Tickets are on sale for KFC Radio Live. Click the link in the bio. Get yours. Come out and hang with the boys. How much of this recent success do you attribute to getting off social media? Is that happening because of, or alongside of, or is it a coincidence, or is it cause and effect?
If I'm being completely honest, I think that from my career, from my body, from my relationship with Jasmine, my relationship with my family, my relationship with my daughters, I don't think any of that is in the place it's in today if I'm still on social media. I think that just from being someone who's been off it for 6 months now,
you're cold turkey off.
I don't have. Well, I have a guy who runs it, so I understand.
Sure.
Like, it's fortunate to do that. I know not everyone can do that, but I can do that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to pay a guy to do it. But what I did was I said I'm not going to pay him to do it and then still have access to it. I basically pressed the destroy button. I said,
you don't change the password. Don't tell me.
I don't have it. I don't. Really? I have zero. So what I have a family Instagram account that's private that's got 30 followers. All my friends and family. All I'm seeing is my children, their children. Like, it's what.
So you still get the you're on because sometimes I think about what would I literally do if I didn't have the app on my phone.
What I do with that is, and I've been good with it, is I check it once a day, either in the morning or the night. You get to check it once, and what I do is just whatever. I'll give myself maybe like 90 seconds. I check my account, but I'm as if I'm a fan. I have no access to it, just to make sure that whatever I told him was posted was spelled right, the links are working, whatever.
You're not
just
sitting there reading
for
comments
a business, not once, no DMs.
That's the name of the game.
There's no way to get in touch with me unless you're my friend or family or you have my number.
Smart way to go.
So I've cut off. I think I would carry around that energy of something some stranger said online, whether it be positive or negative. It would affect my personality in a negative or positive way. And now I only take criticism, or I only take anything, whether it's positive or negative, from someone who I'm actually in their physical presence. I believe like social media is like another realm that I don't have anything to do with anymore. So it doesn't affect me, because a lot of people say, the one thing I've learned, the one thing I felt is I hear a lot of people saying, man, I wish you would go back in time, or like even with this my Super Maximum Retro show, a lot of the people will be like, man, life was so much better back then. The 90s, it was so much better. And I live in the 90s because I'm not on social media. When you're off social media, you're like, oh, it's the same as it was 20 years ago. It doesn't matter. There's no real problems. It doesn't. There's no race fucking issue. There's no violence. It's just
political bullshit.
Everything's just no political bullshit. Yeah, there are problems, and if it happens to you in your physical space, then you deal with it.
Right, but it's not
a lot of the shit you're seeing and feeling
Yeah.
has nothing to do with you.
Totally.
But you're making your identity, and I learned that, and I feel like that's because a lot of times I would not only compare myself to others, but I would compare myself to me. I would compare me to me, and both those things would depress me, because you would forget that either you're seeing someone who you believe is better than you, or you're seeing yourself 6 months ago that you think is a better version of yourself, because you forget that you have the perfectly crafted picture or video or statement, whatever you did. And now I literally just compare myself to yesterday, and that thing of like just trying to get better day by day. That's what I do. And dude, I think I weigh 210 pounds. I haven't weighed that since fucking I was 20 years old.
Right.
So it's just, and feel good.
So like, you're taking a car somewhere. You're stuck in traffic.
Right.
You got your phone. What do you do?
So
sit there?
What I found myself doing more in the car, because I think there is and I don't think even 6 months is not long enough, because I would always be like, those dopamine hits like on social media. What are people saying? What I do now is I realize like I'll be driving for 10, 15 minutes, get bored, and instead of checking the phone, I call somebody.
Just talking. That's my God.
I have to get better at just having alone, at just being comfortable being alone. I'm not there yet, but I think it's better than Instagram.
Crazy. Sitting around listening to your own thoughts is crazy. Nobody could do that.
Yeah. I mean, getting off Twitter, I think, has had the most positive impact, because once in a while, my social media guy will just show me, he'll be like, dude, like, it's just like crazy, like the experiments, like I'll have the same post, one on TikTok, one on Instagram, one on Twitter, and you'll see all the negative on Twitter, mostly positive actually on Instagram, and then TikTok is usually a little bit in between. A lot of it is bots, but it's weird how, and then Facebook is almost all positive.
Really?
Yeah, Facebook is like exclusively positive.
No shit.
And so
I get
you're
back
like,
on that shit.
And so you're like, wow, like this is like, there's people that go around and they make like this their identity. They're not even living in reality. Right. Like it's a different, like I truly believe, I'm sure you guys have said this before on the show, I truly believe the way we look at cigarettes 50 years ago is the way we'll look at social media.
Dude, like literally exact that comparison I use.
And my daughter, she's 7 now. She doesn't. Social media is not cool to kids anymore. They see what it's doing to what it did to their parents or older siblings. And
my kids are always like, put the phone down. You know,
I was saying that
it's actually very depressing when your kid says that to you.
I know.
It cuts to your core.
Yeah.
Because like and you just think about like your relationship with your parents. Anything your parents did was uncool. So kids are growing up and seeing you were like, you're like, that's a fucking, like, you guys use social media, you guys are on your phones all the time. Yeah. That's fucking lame. It's like how I saw my dad reading the newspaper. Right. I'm like, dude, that's fucking lame, dude. All you do is you read 7 newspapers a day.
And Louis C.K. came on my Chrissy Chaos podcast and gave me great advice. It's a specific comedy, but I think it can apply to real life. He was like, you don't want to be king of the algorithm. That's the last thing you want in your life. He said, because what are you doing? If you're putting out a version of yourself that's feeding this algorithm that is just this fucking math equation in the sky that's not real, that's not a human being, what you're going to do is, maybe it'll go viral, maybe that'll sell you more tickets, maybe that'll get you more accolades, but it will be that version of yourself that you've made the algorithm like, not that you may not like that version of yourself, but the algorithm likes, so that's what you put out. So then when the people come and see you at your show, they're going to want to see that algorithm version of you. And if you give them the real you, and they may be like, oh, this guy sucks.
Bro, not to mention, they also just flip the algorithm. And then what?
Yeah, that's it.
They change the algorithm. That's that.
I was just saying, we get emails all the time from like our social team being like, dude, like our social, Gaz, our social like head, and it's like, now this has changed, now this has changed. And I've never done it, and I like to use that in my head as a crutch, where I'm doing it because I'm real to me. I'm doing it because they changed the algorithm. Well, if we're being honest with each other, I'm doing it because I'm lazy and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But there is a part of it.
It ends up becoming Drew. After the fact. I mean, we've been doing it for 15 years.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for 15 years. Dave's been doing it for like 25 years. Twitter, social media, all that shit came in around like what? I think
29,
I think like 7, 8, 9. We were on it like 9, 10, 11, whatever. And since then, they've added apps. They've changed the rules.
Yeah.
They what you can say, what you can't do, and we've always played by their rules. And I mean, I personally, I get everything you're saying, and I think it's great. We also are on the internet, and for me to completely cut it out, I think would almost be like cutting out work for me. I think
you could put a barrier up.
Yeah, totally. I need to have rules to it. Yeah. But I think there's a balance of if you're going to be successful in the modern world, you probably got to play by the rules a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, when you're you can't say this anymore, you can't say that anymore. It's like, well, what are we gonna be able to say? What's left to say?
Well, you know? I think now what's happening though is
they have to blur out every curse word now.
Because the algorithm.
I was thinking about that. Even
they have to sit there and blur out every fucking time we say fuck.
I told a story the other day about when I had to put our dog down and it was whatever. But anyway, I posted the clip and I was thinking, well, I can't say kill, I can't say this.
Yeah, you can't say
so goddamn fucking stupid. This is not how I talk. Right. FYI, you're putting your dog down. Fuck you. That's not how I talk. It doesn't sound like me.
Yeah.
It's fucking stupid.
Well,
so
I thought, and when I got off social media, I thought, I said to myself, even if this affects my ticket sales, even if this affects my career, it's good for me, it's good for my family, I'm going to do it. But it's actually just been the opposite. The career has been
Well, you've also been, I think to be fair, I think you did it at a point where you're good, you're set.
Yeah, yes,
Hey Babe and Chrissy Chaos are cruising. There's really no slowing you down right now.
Yeah, well, but I think that I just thought
put it this way: if you're a young up and comer right now, and you really want to make it, you probably got to play by the rules a little bit.
I think
unless you are
media,
supremely talented, and everybody word of mouth is gonna you know what I mean?
I think it's like any addiction though, or any illness where you think about it I mean, and a million comics have told the story before where if you're depressed and you think if I get better, maybe I won't be funny. Yeah. If you're an alcoholic and you're if I cut this out, maybe I won't have I won't be as funny. All these things, I won't be as successful. And you're no, this is my essence. This is what it is. And it's no, it's a problem. And
you know what
fix
happened?
It.
You know what
and you'll be a totally different person that maybe
which will make you better. Which makes you better.
That's why I feel blessed to have a family because being a comic is the third or fourth thing about who I am as a human being. It's people I got to be the greatest comic ever. Go for it. I could give a shit if I'm the greatest comic ever. I could care less. I just want to be a good dad and a good family member. Right. So I'm so when you do that, I'm well, if they don't sell, fine. If I don't get followers, I don't care. It's we're happy. We have what we want. Yep. That's, my peers who it's comedy's their identity. It's fine, whatever your circumstance is. But in Japan, they have such a high suicide rate for when people retire because they make their job their identity. Yeah. And then once you take that away, you're well, now what am I? Right. So it's you got to be careful about not putting all your eggs in one basket in life. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm going with the glasses.
What's his fucking name? The Penn State guy. think of his name.
Jerry Sandusky?
Paterno.
Paterno.
When he lost the
Yeah, he died
right away.
Yeah.
Right away. Yeah.
It's like,
Died as fast as a Japanese man does.
Yeah. Well, what about there was a story
can't
once
play
I read.
football, can't rape kids. I'm out of here.
Well, after the Cubs won the World Series, like 10%
Everybody
of the
died.
elderly population over 95 died immediately.
Do you know how many books were written in Boston in 2005 called "Now I Can Die in Peace"?
Yeah.
Like Shaughnessy wrote one, Bill Simmons wrote one. Like, it's like, dude, my grandfather was. I remember in like 2002 talking to my grandfather, and he's like, we were like cleaning out his basement because he was getting old and he couldn't live in his house anymore, and he like a dead serious conversation. He's just like, I can't die without seeing a World Series.
Did he make it?
I know it.
He did make it.
good.
He's still alive right now.
I was
Actually.
gonna say, fucking as soon as they caught that last night, he shot himself in the head. He was like, yeah.
Bro, you want to hear a funny but terribly sad story? We put out a podcast the other day, and John told the story he was talking about, the clip he put up. His family dog was sick.
Okay.
They brought him to the vet to put him down.
Would you get the booster?
It was,
Myocarditis.
no,
Fauci's a criminal.
it was like later in the day, and the guy who does it was like,
It's actually a woman.
was
Sexist.
like, come back on Monday because
you.
I just can't do any more today. So they took the dog home for the weekend, and over the weekend, like, she came back alive.
Okay.
3 more years the dog lived.
Wow.
So he put out a clip being like, just FYI, you're probably killing your dogs way too early. Like,
Yeah.
That day, our coworker here had to put down their puppy.
Their puppy?
like weeks, like right away. John put up a clip.
I was like,
being
you gotta be kidding me.
like-
Like it was.
Like, hey, if you're killing your dog, you're a murderer.
It was-
and then
it
it was
was-
like then we see the post from him, and it's got like piano music, and it's like our angel in the sky, and I was like, oh my god,
It's as bad as timing as you could possibly have.
Jesus.
There was a blog written back in the day. This is old school Barstool, right? And people who know what I'm talking about will know who wrote it. I'm gonna leave names out.
this is a bad one.
And it was like posted at like 9:30 a.m. about how breaking news and telling someone news, and it's a true blog, like telling someone news is one of the greatest feelings of all time. We're like, have you heard? And not even with gossip or anything, like, which, have you heard? And it's like, no, I haven't heard. It's like, oh, sit down, I got something to tell you.
He was like, good news, bad news.
Yeah.
Something it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It could be a tragedy when you know and someone else doesn't, and you break that news, you get a rush of dopamine.
That was posted like 9:30 a.m. 9:35, Sandy Hook. Like, and everyone, and people couldn't like look. People weren't looking at timestamps. People were like, Jesus fucking Christ! Did you post that about Sandy Hook?
We just shut down the blog for the whole time. The first day in Barstool history, we just said we're not doing
We
anything
just
anymore.
closed it. We're like, yeah, we can't
Like,
have this
that
up
was
anymore.
all time
Fucking
bad timing.
timing.
It was, but it was obviously
Oh,
before. It was
yeah,
obviously done before.
There was also a time where somebody wrote a blog about a dead girl. You know that story?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
He's back. He's
Dude,
good. She's still dead, but
we had
he's
some
fine.
all-time blogs back in the day. We had Nate. Nate wrote a blog. Stuart Scott's at fucking Bojangles.
Oh, my God.
Like, Stuart Scott's like got a week left. Like he is.
He's dying of cancer, yeah.
The whole
The whole world knows it.
The whole world knows he's dying of cancer. And he writes a blog. Is it me or does Stuart Scott look like shit?
He just didn't know.
He just didn't know. He had no idea.
He was like, this guy looks like a bag of shit. What's going on? Everyone was like, he's dying of cancer,
What
dude.
the fuck?
I mean, that was an honest. I was just like, I don't know how you didn't
Was
know.
that the headline? Stuart Scott looks like a bag of shit?
It was something comparable, if not exactly that. It was like holy shit, does Stuart Scott look terrible? Oh
my God.
So yeah, he's doing chemo 9 hours a day right now.
Oh my God, dude.
It's hard out here in these streets, man.
But sometimes I feel like I was at I was doing comedy the other night. I was at Comedy Cellar the other night, and it was a couple in the front row, like a very just like white, like, like they like were just sitting up, like, just very white. And those are easy targets with, today, just fucking making fun of white people, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So I'm doing it. And then they were saying that they have no kids. And I was like, oh, good. Like I got fucking 3 kids. Like I never sleep. Like, fuck you. I was like, you know what? I hope you get cancer. That's what I said to the guy.
no.
And it got like a good laugh. And then she was like, he actually has it. I was dead serious. She was like, he actually has it. And then I had a decision. I had a decision, a split-second decision. I was like, what do I do here? Because then it was awkward. Not awkward, but it was like, you're going to have to say something immediately, think. So I just said, you deserved it. And then people started to laugh. He started to clap. And then I just started fucking going in. I was like, what cancer do you have? And he said whatever he said. I was like, that's not even a real one.
You got melanoma? Get the fuck out of here. I can take melanoma off with scissors, bro.
Yeah, like bull. And then it was funny because I made a clip and we were gonna put it out, but even my social media guy was like, I I just don't know about this one. He's like, I just don't know if this one's worth it, which sucks. And I still might do it. Depends how drunk I get tonight. I still might let it rip. But it's one of those things where the actual person, the actual guy I was making fun of after the show was like, dude, you made me forget about my cancer for 10 minutes. I love this. Yeah. But it's one of those things where, you know, you post something like that and then everybody wants to make everything about themselves. You realize the narcissism in our society, like that's the fucking epidemic. That's worse than obesity. It's like everything's about me always.
Dude, cancer is the big one too, and we've said this for a long time with like, because particularly our fans are like fucking like the old Barstool making fun of shit, blah blah blah, like and even like way back in the day, like you make fun of cancer. And someone be like, my mom died, like my uncle died of cancer, my aunt died of cancer. Yo, everyone died of cancer. That's what cancer does. It kills old people. It's like it's dying of old age
cancer
rebranded.
Is just
like
the human. It's death. Cancer
most people I know died of cancer.
I made fun of Hutchinson's disease. You ever heard of that?
Hutchinson's. No.
It was a stupid blog I wrote back in like 2010. The symptoms make you act like you're drunk.
Oh yeah. So it's like the opposite of Parkinson's. It's like something
whatever.
Like that,
it doesn't even matter. All I know is the thing said you behave like you're drunk, and I wrote a blog being like, oh great, I'll lose some weight. I cut out some money. Just give me Hutchinson's and any other blah blah blah. And some dude who I know had laughed at like every other thing I've ever written was like, my grandma has that or whatever, and I'm like. One person has Hutchinson's disease, and you're gonna call me out and try to take me down. Get over it, man. If you laugh at every other one of my jokes or my thing or whatever, and then the one time it applies to you, you're gonna get all up in arms. Fuck that.
Yeah, but I'm telling you that. Yeah, that's why I think like nobody would ever say anything to you in reality.
Yeah.
It's
never.
Yeah. Nobody would ever.
Last night I was at this. I was at a charity event, and it's with this charity Team Impact. It's an unbelievable charity. They pair young kids with disabilities with college sports teams, so like the college kids know what it's like to be someone who's not doing too well, and so they have this little kid there who's with he's a child on one of the teams, and they're like, would you mind if he interviews you a little bit on camera and we use it for social and all that stuff? And I was like, of course, no big deal. And he's like, first question, he's like, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be? And I was like, oh, middleman, that's a good question. Like, where are you from? He goes, New Jersey. And I went, well, it's not Jersey. and I was like,
but that's where my doctors are.
Good for you, little man. I ain't going.
And then they had told me beforehand, like, he's so fun. Like, he wants to ask you how big your butt is, but we're not going to ask that. And
it seems like a question from his mom.
And I was like, at the end, I was like, I heard you wanted to ask me a question that you didn't ask, so I'll ask you, how big's your butt? And then I was like, John, you can't be asking kids how big their butts are.
Yeah.
Just be fucking normal for 1 second, dude.
And what did he say?
He got really embarrassed and hid behind his mom. He went, and then
amazing. Well, the FBI will be knocking. That is a borderline. I mean, you can't ask a kid that.
Can't ask a kid how big your butt is.
Yeah.
I said, come on.
And he whispered it. How big's your butt?
Turn the cameras off.
How old was he?
He was like 5.
I had 5 to 7. Very, very young.
National.
That's federal. Guy's asking your fucking kid
how big his butt is. I'd be like, buddy, are you out of your fucking mind?
He wanted to ask me.
You're asking a 5-year-old kid with Down syndrome.
He's 5. You're an adult.
Yeah, some 5-year-old kid with Down syndrome. How big his butt is?
I would absolutely punch someone in the face if they asked my kid how big their butt is.
Yeah, I'd be like, what the fuck? Yeah,
get away from him. Get away from this man.
Yeah, I know.
Wearing a lady sweater, asking my kid how big his private parts are. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
You sick fuck.
Well, but he didn't answer. He'd be on his. Did his mom have a nice big butt?
His mom.
You were like, I see you. Colin.
All right, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, and leave a comment below. Click that button.
Or I'll cut off my finger.